Covering, recovering, discovering images and history. That's something actually that we will see. It's an idea that runs through the exhibition and runs through her methodology. Her language is informed and motivated by a methodology. Whether it's the shape of the panels, the way she approached iconography, what she has done with all these constraints or these rules that she has invented for herself, she has invented a methodology to make paintings. She has created a methodology to make painting. And that, for me, is also what makes the quality and the importance of her work. I think the artists that have moved the needle, that have moved the aesthetic conversation in the art history, are the artists who have invented their own methodology and their own skills. I think before Quaytman, painting was never described as chapters. You also have to understand, if you look at her path through art making, she comes out of a generation of artists who decided in the late 70s and early 80s to appropriate images out of a desire not to add more images to the history of art. We've also a very strong, I would say, ideological or political agenda. I will only appropriate works produced by male artists, and by this way I appropriate, I bring to me a canon of art history. Well, Quaytman comes out of that, and she's aware of it, and she relocates this tradition because she doesn't appropriate. I think for me the best way to describe that is she recovers image and history. For instance, here on this painting, in the center of this painting, you have almost I wouldn't even say the image, either an after image or a post image of a painting from 1600, painting made by the painter Otto van Veen, who was known to be the teacher of Rubens. The painting itself is an episode of the Amazons' war, where the Amazons, women warriors, decided to lift their skirts or togas and expose themselves to disturb their male enemies or their male counterparts. And by doing that, by appropriating this painting, and you can see here one of the shape of one of the Amazon, she inserts in her work an image dating from this early year of the turn of the 16th and 17th century, a proto-feminist image. And that's what I mean by discovering and recovering. As she became aware of the painting, she actually led and supported herself a campaign of conservation and restoration of this painting. So she went the extra step of recovering, giving us back a painting that before initiative was covered by the passage of time. A few things here also about this painting that we can add, and it's something you will see in other of her work, like the work that you have here, is this pattern that when you focus on it, actually disrupt your eyesight. When Quaytman herself talks about it, she talks about what happened to your eyes when you're in front of the computer. And you know, when you look and you stare at your computer, which is our main source of images today, you have this vibrating, almost blurry effect on your eyes. So again, she's layering a traditional turn of the 16th, 17th century painting with another icon, which is not an icon yet, what we used to call the TV snow. It's the pixel. Here you have another example of the way she used this pattern, either coming from op art or the sheer images on your digital screen with an ostrich feather. She discovered that her family at the beginning of the century were ostrich feather dealers. At the time, people would wear them. They were an element of fashion. So almost as a tribute to her own history, she added this feather to the painting. The thing is that the texture of the feather is real silver. So with time and corrosion, this painting is moving, and the color of the feather will change and ultimately become black. This is the second room, the second gallery of the Quaytman exhibition. When you enter, you will see in the installation she has managed transition through the work. I was mentioning the axis that she built between these two paintings. You will see that the image of his first painting that we talked around, this breast or this element of architecture, this circular shape, reappears here. Again, I will repeat this notion of covering and discovering and recovering, but this shape now appears, and you can see how she complexified the images that she built. Now this pattern, this optical pattern that we had earlier, start to layer on the top of these first images. And here, almost the echo of the first painting that we had. I was mentioning earlier that at some point, when she does what she does here, for instance, by bringing a shelf to the painting, she brings the painting into the field of sculpture. Here, of course, it's more obvious. She has this shape, this foam mass coming out of the painting. It's a world, it's this image of this kind of melting world in front of us. I think we can say that, and we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later, that history, the history of the present, whether we learn from history or not, are ideas that are part of her concern in her painting. The history of the present, and what are we doing in the present time that will affect history. I cannot look at this image without thinking of where this work was made. It was made for a chapter in Brazil, where mining is very present. And when you walk through these rooms here, you will see a lot of work done with this material, more matter, more texture than you've seen in the previous room. And that comes from her experience, her travels, and her even visual experience of the texture, economical, environmental, of her journey in Brazil and in the mining landscape that she has experienced there.